Hi, I'm Charles Galda, your host for Vision New England's Church in Action program. This is part 2 of our conversation with Kevin McBride about his research into how unity movements work and what God does through them. I know you're a Willard fan too, but I remember Willard making the point one time, and it seemed counterintuitive when he said it, that if you are constantly busy, it's because you're lazy. I was like, that doesn't sound right. A, because I'm constantly busy and I know I'm not lazy. So what's going on there? And he's like, because you are not willing to expend the effort to decide what you need to be doing. And you just accept everything that comes at you and are reactive to all of it. You don't have the discipline to just do what Gordon was doing and saying, this is how I will spend my time this week. And that necessitates no. And now I pick the priorities. And I know you do because you're involved in unity stuff at a national level, at a regional level, at a state level, all kinds of different things. And so I know you invest in it, but there's a cost for your church to support you in that. And it's a cost to your calendar for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a cost to your, again, to your family, making sure, as you talked about your whole life, that's a piece of it too. So making sure they're not neglected. I'm hoping we're getting past the time of, where pastors felt like, well, my family, they just have to understand I'm doing this all for the Lord, and understanding that, okay, you're a vital part of my ministry. So yeah, you're in this, and I have to make sure that you're in this as well with me from the very beginning. But part of what you said is important too, is helping to educate the church. Why is this important?
Yeah.
Why is it important that I'm at a Rotary meeting every Wednesday at 7:30 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Let me help you understand why that's important for you, as not just for me, but for God's church and the community, or being a part of this group, or spending time over here. And again, that's an education, that's a teaching moment.
Yeah. So you talk about the historic Village Green and the meeting house in the research that you did as the center of community life. Do we still have that, or is that gone? And what's the implication of it being gone if it is?
I think we have abrogated that responsibility over the time. Going back to my doctoral stuff, in New England, to be ratified as a town by the crown at that point too, you had to do a couple of things. One is you had to establish a village green where all the people in town could graze their animals. You had to build a town meeting house on that green for all community business to happen. And 3, the town, by raising taxes, try this one in New England, by raising taxes, had to support a pastor for that meeting house. We saw the Village Green. We saw a lot of meeting houses, which are no longer places of worship, but they're still there. Try putting a Warren article in a town meeting this year to raise $80,000 to fund the pastor. That's not going to happen.
Or letting your animals go back to graze on the green.
That's right. We can't do that. We have we got a pickleball court there now, or whatever. I think 2 things have happened, and I think both have happened. One is because of the secularization of our society, the church has been pushed out of the community conversation, but also I think we've withdrawn from it. And we have said, okay, community bad, world bad, culture bad. We're going to isolate. We're going to do it better over here. So we have at the same time, in some ways, withdrawn. At the same time that the community in a whole says, well, we don't really see the need for you any longer. We've got other things. We've moved past you, and if faith's okay for you, then that's great. But don't bring it over here anymore. And that's extremes. But I think both of those movements have been at play over the years, and we've let them. We let them instead of proving our worth and showing the community why we had value and what we had to offer the community life.
Yeah, there's so many different expectations across different traditions and cultures in the church, because Black pastors tend to be much more engaged in their community at the, whether it's the mayor, the selectmen, they're the chaplain for the police department and the fire department, and they're very involved in civic life. But a lot of white churches have an expectation, majority of white churches, that I don't want my pastor in those spaces. That's not their job. But more and more, I think I see pastors in majority white churches stepping into those kinds of roles too and engaging with their community in new ways. Did that come up at all in the work you were doing, or do you see it in other parts of your ministry?
No, I've seen that, and those are for some of the men and women who get it, and say, okay, this is where I need to be. I was talking with Clyde Talley over in Worcester, and man, that guy is engaged in the community, running philanthropic organizations, United Way. I mean, he gets it. He's in the community. He's a known, trusted commodity in the places where he circulates. Ben down at Cape Cod, and then, talking to Bobby up in North Shore Baptist Church about, they're working with refugees. Again, known commodity, a trusted known commodity who is now invited into the life of the community because of what the community sees them doing.
Yeah,
I'm on the board of NAE, and our tagline is being an influence for good, and letting people see that. Why is my life better because of what you're doing? Why is my community life better by what you're offering and what you're contributing? And when that happens, it's worth celebrating and doing it so I don't feel I have to duplicate it either.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel like, well, this church is doing this amazing great thing over here, I should do it too, instead of partnering with them.
Yeah.
Or here's this great thing happening in my community as a servant in humility. Hey, we see you doing this. This is a good thing. How can we help?
Yeah.
How can we help?
Ben makes the point, Ben Feldon, a friend of both of ours, makes the point that it is easy for me to be friends with a pastor who's, halfway across the country. It's harder to be friends with pastors who are right there in your own community. Because there is a competitiveness, not that they intentionally compete, but they do, one of my family's leaving could be make or break for me and coming to you. Right. And so I hate to call it competitiveness because I don't think that's really what's at play there. But how do you respond to that, especially as we start working together and our folks are going into each other's churches? And what do you think of that?
I think it goes back to Charles, the idea about, do I trust the guy sitting or the woman sitting across the table at this pastor round table? If I trust you, if I trust your heart, then if somebody from my place is at your place now, I can trust you to serve them well, talk to them. I can trust you with that person. It's when I haven't had the communication or that, understanding about who you are, what's on your heart, what are your, what makes you thrive in ministry. Again, that's relationship, that's conversation. Then I don't know what you're going to do. What are you telling that person when they come? Hey, we're the better church. I'm glad you came over here because, they're used for that. We got a better youth group. And, but that's trust. That's just trust. And I think some of that's maturity too.
And it's a trust in God, I think, at some level too, right? Because is God going to take care of that ministry or not? And what we see over and over again in our work, and I wonder if you came across this, is where churches, not going back on our point earlier, but where churches in an area where the pastors are friends with each other and the normal mode of working is something comes up we want to do. And the first thing we do is, how do we do this with the other pastors around here? I start reaching out because it's a normal way I work. We're seeing a lot more baptisms, people exploring faith, visitors showing up, just a higher number. I can't connect the dots and say that's the exact reason. But Jesus prays, if they are one like you and I are one, then people know God sent his son. And then places where there's this, where churches have decided our job is to reach our community, working with other churches. It's a very different dynamic and very different outcomes. So did you see some of that?
We do. And I think our pastor group here too, I mean, these guys they're good friends, 20 years, you see some come and go, some are long timers. You're just good friends. I mean, you just trust each other.
Yeah.
So you can sit down and say, hey, what is happening? What can I learn from you? And how can we help each other? I mean, we have one church in town, they do their baptisms at our church. Why not? The place is there anyway. We'll open it up. Just again, the whole sharing of resources and the understanding again that if my picture is that there is one church in my community, then we're all in this together. So therefore, if your youth group is thriving, praise God.
Yeah.
That means kids are being reached. And if, my, senior adult group is thriving, so that, again, is the old illustration that, when the tide comes in, every boat in the harbor rises, not just my sailboat. All the boats come in.
And what I keep hearing this in some of the sessions we're talking about, it's economies of scale. Because if you have a cancer group going in your church, sometimes as you were saying, well, that works for Kevin. I better start a cancer group here at my church. What I really should be doing, and what we see churches doing, is saying, okay, anybody in my church who needs cancer care, I'm sending them to Kevin's group for that. And we're going to start a divorce care group or a grief care group or something like that, because it's those pain areas where we're seeing more and more people entering the church, not Sunday morning, entering the church for those pain areas. Yep. And there's no reason for us to all duplicate each other.
No, absolutely. And I would say two things with that. One is, you say grief share. A good friend of mine lost her husband, and she started a grief share group in another church. I helped her with, what do you need, resources, talked her through that. So I know this is happening, every Wednesday over there. I can send people over there, and I can trust them over there. And the other piece of that too, Charles, it's not just churches, but I come back to, if I'm a partner in my community, are there good things happening in my community that I can partner with as well? Mm-hmm. I led a drug coalition for years in the town of Raymond, and sometimes the tendency is, well, the town has a drug coalition. Well, as a church, we should offer one too because we want it from our perspective. Well, but can you be a part of that group? Can you be an influence for God in that group while that group is doing their stuff? And if they're doing the good things, why not partner with them? Yeah. I said, I'm a member of our Rotary Club. It's good people doing good things.
Yeah.
But presence there means I can still be an influence in that group, helping them do the good things for God's reasons. Not just because of it feels good at the end of it.
And so often what we hear from groups, whether it's foster care ministries or human trafficking ministries, is that government actually really likes Christians when they come alongside them and do the things they know they can't do. And so there's and we've talked about in the Church in Action before. I always think about down in Connecticut, the Underground is a network of 200 churches working with Department of Children and Families, and they love those churches because they're doing the things they can't do.
And especially in this day and age too, when we see, not to be political, the decrease of government services is a place where we can really rise. I mean, we have our town. We have towns in the area who call and say, "Can we send people to you to help, so you can help them because we can't?"
Yeah.
I said, absolutely, send them on over. Yep. And for whatever reasons. We've done some refugee resettlement work, but just the basic stuff, housing and food and doctor stuff, doctor bills and all. But again, that goes back to the trust and relationship building, that the community then says, yeah, I can trust to send my people over to you without them being hit over the head and forced to make some sort of religious statement in order to get any sort of help. You're helping them just because it's the right thing to do, And we do it because, widows, orphans, people, they're on God's heart, so you should help them.
And it's the right thing to do. But Jesus also tells us when we do that, let your light shine before men in such a way that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. It's evangelistic. Now, it might not be go up and you help them with groceries and they say, well, walk me through the Roman road and get me saved right now, Kevin. But you don't know where that's going to lead to. You don't know what that government worker who reached out to you and is dealing with you. Right? There's all these different pieces that God will still be moving in if we trust him.
Now, and going back to what you said about people, that when people are in need moment, when we do funerals at the church, there's no charge. And people time and time again, especially from the community, well, what do we owe you for the use of the building? Nothing. Well, you put food on for it, what? Nothing. This is our way of serving you in your time of need. How countercultural.
Yeah, next time you do one, I'm going to stand outside with a collection plate. I'm going to get some money off of them.
There you go. Yeah, on your way out, this is a $5 tip this morning. But
But what you're
again,
saying is right, because then people ask, why do you do that? Right?
right. Yep. Absolutely. And we just did one a couple of weeks ago, and the people, and they're just, what do you mean you don't charge? We don't. We're not here to make money on your misery.
Yeah.
We're here to serve you in the name of Christ, and here's how we serve you. So sure, we'll do a buffet. Yeah, within reason.
Yeah.
I'm not going to serve 1,000 people for free, but within reason. So yeah, we had a worship team, and I preached in the building and the food. Absolutely, you need this. How can we help? This is how we can serve you.
Yeah, that's great.
People are like, I don't get that. They said, well, okay, let me tell you why.
Yeah. Well, and basically, when they're asking you that, they're asking, tell me about Jesus. They don't know that's what they're asking, but that's what they're asking. And so
Absolutely.
now, I know there's, because you've told me this story about some teenagers who came to your church, and their family said they were okay with these kids going to a church because they were on church. And they said it was because we trust that church. They said your church they could go to because they trust your church, even though they don't know your church. But I bet they know stuff like that.
And I think that's true. Because their families in town who've been here, longtime families who have heard about us from whatever avenue they've heard about us in town, and then told their kids, you want to learn about faith? That's fine. Go there because we trust them.
Yeah.
Never been there. Again, never been there, but from whatever they heard, from that perspective they have now from the community, we trust them. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so now you make a big point about consistency too. There's a very strong theme throughout the white paper you did. A consistent prayer, consistent meetings, consistent presence. Two questions. I think, why is that so important? And how do you do it?
I think it's important because, again, I go back to the, we're the masters and the devils of our own schedule. We all get busy, and it's the tyranny of the urgent. Pastor, we have to have a meeting this week to solve this issue about the color of the carpeting. Well, we're not making a carpet choice in 2 years, but you think we have to do this week. Putting something in place so it's already in place, and nothing else is now infringing upon that. So I know that on September, I'm picking a date, but I know on September 15th, we're having an area-wide praise and prayer time at this church. It's on my calendar already. It's on my church's calendar already, so that there's not 3 other prayer meetings in our church happening, or 2 Bible studies and a fishing seminar. So people, this is the community church calendar, and letting people know, hey, there's stuff happening in the church, in the community. Hey, put it on your calendar too. So again, people are busy. We're busy. People are busy. Families are busy. But you're being courteous to them to say, we're giving you a heads up that in 3 months, this is happening. Just to put it on your radar.
Well, one of the things I appreciate, and it's been something they've been consistent about, is Bobby Warrenberg on the North Shore is a pastor that we'll be doing an episode on with him as well. And one of the things I love is if you go to one of those churches in that network of churches on any Sunday, you're going to hear them praying for other churches in that network.
Yep.
And that's an easy one to put on the calendar, just make sure it happens. And it doesn't really cost anything. We're all together on Sunday anyway. But it also conveys a really important message about what you were saying earlier about we are the church in a place, not churches in a place, because we pray for each other just like if we're sitting across the pew from them.
Yeah, we did a Maundy Thursday. Last 4 years, we're doing a joint Maundy Thursday prayer communion service with all the churches in the area. And again, having 3 or 4 pastors all together praying for each other, with each other, for each other, having people who are sitting there, we're now mixing it up with other people from other churches, praying together. Again, to break down those walls, break down those barriers, and say, again, you're all in this together, folks.
Yeah. And we just talk about how do we reach the next gen? How do we reach the next gen? There's a little bit of people observing that the next generation is attracted when they see churches working together collaboratively. It's doing something with them that it didn't really do for us who are slightly older than the next generation.
Yeah, and especially if it's a community service project. Especially if it's a hands-on, we're all cleaning the town up together on Earth Day, or we're all doing a drug take back, or we're all, doing this for the town or for people, rather than, for ourselves. But yeah, we're doing this for the town, and together we're doing this.
Yeah.
And you can, come on over and pick up garbage with us, or come on over, be a part of the food drive, or, collect. You can join in. Yeah. Again, going back to one of those soft entry points. And I really think, one of the soft entry points for churches today is service. Let me serve before I'll listen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to serve alongside of people, and I watch people, and then I'll decide again whether they're worth listening to.
Yeah. Like your neighbor.
Like my crotchety old neighbor in Maine, Don. Funny guy, but he a year or two later he came to Christ.
Yeah.
But it took him that 5 years of, I'm watching you.
Well, that was a theme. We just did our focus groups with all of the the 120 association directors, the leaders from around New England who direct our work. And what we heard in every single session we did was relationship. The days of you and I meet, we know each other for 2 weeks, we go to breakfast, I show you the Roman road, and you say, okay, sign me up. God can do whatever he wants, but nobody's seeing that happen in meaningful numbers. What they are seeing is this slow investment in relationship that then is intentional about at some point being trusted enough that you are asked for, why this, or how do you think about that, or as I'm suffering through this, you can speak to it, and and that's a bigger investment than most of us know how to make, even, let alone be willing.
And that goes back to the time and the calendar and the priorities, Charles, too. I mean, I have a and not to talk about myself too much, but yes, I have a set calendar on where I eat lunch in town.
Yeah.
Same places, same day, same seat every week.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, you have conversations. So much so that there's one place in town where I came in and I took my usual seat. The owner of the place comes in and yells at the top of his lung, "Pastor's here. Anybody need to confess anything? Come on over." In the middle of the lunch crowd, you know?
Yep.
But it was a recognition that, okay, you're here, do whatever you're going to do. We trust you.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to send my people to talk to you if they're having problems, because I trust you. I see you being consistent in your words and your actions and how you're, behaving in my place week after week.
So what did I not ask you? Because we only have a little time left. What did I not ask you that you're saying this is an important topic, an important piece we should talk about?
I think the main point for me, Charles, is taking the time to be observant, taking the time to be prayerfully observant. Who are the people I potentially could partner with, both in the community and in local churches? Having my eyes open to, all right, God, what are you doing? If you're the God of good, where is good happening? Who are the people that are on your heart in my community? And putting them on my heart and on my radar. And then he's starting with, again, maybe it's only one other guy, maybe one other woman in town who are his like-minded. Start with them. I don't need a team of 10 people to do this. I may just need one other person.
Yeah.
And together, we start there. We start with each other. And maybe somebody else comes into that mix. Maybe they don't. But we are committed to doing this together because we're of like mind.
Yeah. It's a great one to end on, is how to get going if you're not already doing something like this. So thank you for the research and the pointers. If folks want the research, can we share that with them? Is that okay?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So if you want to see Kevin's research, reach out. I'll get it to you. You can get me at cgalda@visionnew.org. Kevin, thanks for doing that research. Thanks for taking the time to document it, to have the interviews. Thanks for your ministry at Raymond Baptist, at the National Association of Evangelicals, at Vision New England, and the Seacoast. And I don't even know all the different spheres in which God has you serving, but I'm grateful to you for serving in all of them and for our friendship. I'm really grateful for you.
Thank you, Charles. This is fun stuff. It's good stuff, and is what we should be doing. Appreciate it.
This program is created by Vision New England, which accelerates evangelism by helping the church work in unity to make disciples, do justice, and share Jesus, so New England will be transformed by the love of Jesus. You can find additional resources and support our mission at visionnew.org. We want to thank our friends at World Vision, who are celebrating 75 years of God's faithfulness and trusting Him with a worldwide vision to end extreme poverty for children everywhere. Join us next Sunday at 2 p.m. on Life Changing Radio. Thank you and God bless you.
At Leadership Transformations, we believe that when you have the right resources to help you slow down and experience a deep and refreshing connection to God, you can become the discerning leader you know you are created to be. Friends, Steve Macchia here, and I have a free gift for your soul. It's called Pathways. Pathways is our weekly email aimed at offering you soul-nourishing content for the journey. It contains readings, prayers, spiritual practices, a link to the Discerning Leader podcast, as well as information about all of our upcoming soul care retreats, workshops, and online offerings. So head on over to leadershiptransformations.org today and sign up for this free resource. It will help you slow down and be more. God bless you, friends.